Eagles. You got to pardon my voice. Too busy screaming at Kevin Patullo all night. So let me see if I got your game plan right, Kevin Patullo. You put on two decent games. One against the Vikings, one against the Giants. My mind is a blur after this. You put on those two good games with a pretty decent offense. And then you come out here with this mess. Now, again, this is one of those ones where you think they must have lost. If I didn't know what the box score was, then I guess the Eagles lost. They didn't. They won. That's not the point. The point is Kevin Patullo is running on 3rd and 12 and throwing on 3rd and 2. Where's the sense? What are you doing? Are you trying to play the game that, oh, they'll never expect this? It's out of character to throw on 3rd and 2. No, you're not. 3rd and 2, you run the ball. Hell, give me 2 tush pushes on 3rd and 2 before you throw it and throw our chances away of forward progress. You freaking nut job. I am pissed at how this man can have a nice long bye week after a glorious win. We're all high. We're all drinking the Kevin Patullo cooler. Well, I'm not drinking it, but I gave him credit where credit was due. If you put together a good performance, I'm going to give you praise. If you put together trash, I'm going to tell you it's trash. It's plain and simple. I'm fair across the board. If it's a false start, it's a false start. If it's a fumble, it's a fumble. We had mad penalties against us. Jordan Mailata has just become undisciplined, I guess. I don't get it. He used to be one of the most solid pieces. But today, he had so many penalties. And he hasn't in a couple games this season. Lane got hurt. He comes back. He was like, listen, I can't let my team down. I just cannot, for the life of me, understand what is going on. What are you doing? Jeffrey Lurie and I told you I can't even think. Howie need to sit down with you and let you know, listen, next week is the Lions. If the score is 60-3, you're out of here. You're out of here. Okay? It's fine that the 60 came on the defense that has been balling all year. So if the defense lays an egg next week, it lays an egg. I'm not going to complain about the defense. The defense has been balling. The defense, like AJ has said in the first, I think it was like week 2 or 3, maybe even week 4. He was like, defense and special teams have really been saving our ass, especially after that Jordan Davis block. They were like, they're saving us. AJ had 3 targets, It was 2 all game, and then it was 3 at the end when the defense played well and got in between them. He had 2 targets, 2 catches, 13 yards. The man is not going to stick around for this. I wouldn't stick around for this. And I'm nobody. There were 2 times, because you don't always get the angle that you want of the whole field. I wish that they had more whole field angles and more replays that show you, ouch, pulling my hair, more angles that show you what the other receivers were doing, because sometimes they do that, right? Sometimes, like even in this game, they would show on the Eagles and the Packers how everybody was locked up. And you're like, okay, everybody's locked up. There's no really good throws. You throw it away. You don't get the sack. I'm chilling with it. I actually like that. He didn't take, I'm not sure, did he get sacked? He may have. Again, my mind's a blur. But He didn't take a couple that he would normally take. He rolled out, he threw it away. I was happy. We didn't lose yards. And they would show that everybody was locked up. But then there were some, like one where he threw to Dallas Goedert, which, to be fair, it was Dallas wasn't ready. But AJ was running free. I mean, AJ had a mile's worth of field open to him. Now there were some plays that I'm gonna be fair. There were some plays where I don't know if he already knew it was going to be a run or if it wasn't going to him, that he looked like he was walking. And he looked like he wasn't even in the play. And I guess he figured, well, they haven't been throwing it to me and they haven't been, doing whatever they need to do to involve me, so it must not be coming to me. And he really was really lackadaisical. You could see it. He was just trotting along. He didn't even turn his head on two of them back towards Jalen. He just went on about his business, and the defender, just walked right with him. It was easy. So that was two. But I didn't see the whole field the whole night. I'm sure Acho's going to come out with Jalen Hurts stinks video and how he's misusing the team or whatever. It's so contrived because Jalen has stated that these kinds of decisions are above him. He's not going to pull a Jamie Foxx and audible every call, and do his own thing and then have the team turn on him. He's going to run the plays that he's asked to run and make the most out of what he's asked to do. Because I am sure as my name is what it is, that that Hurts would not pick some of these plays. He would not be trying to throw on 3rd and 2. Now, let's back up to the fumble. I think that entire drive, I'm going to give credit. I think that entire drive that took up like 8 minutes or whatever it took was beautiful. I think it was called brilliantly. I think that draw for that Jalen design run was great. And Jalen fumbled it, right? Got punched out. That can happen to anybody. You got your boy Josh Allen who's turning it over like flapjacks, and people will praise him. And then Hurts has a fumble every 5 games, and then they want to crucify him. I'm not crucifying the man for that. I'm not. He had a fumble. It was a good punch out. His arm was almost down. Now, I would have liked him to have just wrapped up and not try to break his fall. One reason I really didn't want him to break his fall the way he was putting his arm down is because there have been a lot of injuries with putting your arm the wrong way or somebody falling on it or whatever. I'm always really leery about that. You saw Jaden Daniels. Now, obviously Jaden is a toothpick and Jalen isn't. But still, your arm can get bound up any which way. Lane is a hulking man, but he got hurt. So I kind of am leery about that arm down, unless somebody's tackling you from behind and you're just falling on your arms like that, just flat, and there's no other defenders around you. There was a bunch of defenders around him. That's neither here nor there. He got it punched out. That drive, in my opinion, was called perfectly and would have yielded points, would have yielded a touchdown had it not got punched out. Everything was sucked out of the offense after that. It was 0-0 for the longest, for however long it was. And then we got our field goal, which I was glad that he took the points. You saw Green Bay didn't take the points. They were within field goal range, and they were like, no, we're going for it, and they messed it up on 4th down. And we got the ball back, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, on that turnover on downs, I think is where we hit Devontae for the bomb. The man's got plenty of bombs, right? And Hurts is getting more production out of his tight ends, Calcaterra and Goddard, than he is out of AJ, and I'm just not understanding it. If Kevin Patullo has some sort of beef with AJ, it needs to be investigated. If there's some problem with AJ, well, we just let the man go if you're not going to use him. If you're going to throw to him three times, why is he there? This is your number one. This is the one you give the shots to. Now, granted, Smitty is good for it. I'm not saying Smitty's not. Smitty is good for it. But AJ is good for it. Give him some good looks. If he's not bound up, I said it a little earlier. There were some wide shots where we saw AJ was bound up or double teamed. That's fine. But it couldn't have been all night. I mean, I'd have to legitimately see film. And no, I saw where he was running free. I just mentioned that. He had the whole field to himself. But other than that, I need to see wide angle film of AJ all night to justify why he only got 2 freaking targets before that bomb in the end zone, which was a horrible call. Well, the call before it was horrible. They made that one worse. Throwing on 3rd and 2 and running on 3rd and 12. Do you think, Patullo, that they're going to let Saquon and Tank get 30 yards a carry? They're not. They know the Eagles are a run-first team. And I'm not saying abandon the run. I'm saying you need to be more versatile. You can't do 3 runs in a row. Or if you do and they're successful, when you get to 3rd and 2, you run it again. Or you push it. And don't false start it. So at the beginning of the game, while we're talking about false starts, Green Bay had one. It wasn't called. Then we had one on, I believe it was a tush push. It wasn't called. So I figured, okay, we're even. And then the refs really did start clamping down. It's like they got the call from New York, and New York was like, hey, what are y'all looking at? These boys are false starting, and these boys are cutting up the whole game. Can you start throwing flags? Because they really did. They started throwing them. I don't know why our fan base. Now, again, I'm taking most of my frustration out on Kevin Patullo for these play calls. There is some execution problems, but there are less of the execution problems than there are play calling problems. Because the defense understands Saquon. He might get one spinning move. That was the one where Devontae would have had that one spinning move where he got a bunch of yards and then Devontae bombed. Okay, he might get one of those, but I think he had like 60 yards on the night. Let me look at it real quick. Excuse me. Oh, and we had some Packers fans and some Ravens fans in the spot tonight, and they were showing their tail. They were talking big cheese all game when it was 0-0. I mean, you'd think they were up 30-0. And they were talking big cheese. And I couldn't understand it. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is 0-0? Oh, but they were riling us up. They were getting in people's faces. They was talking trash. It was crazy. I feared for them. Because some of our Eagles fans aren't, they're not old and understand jail time like an old man like me. They don't understand that it's not worth it to throw your life away for an Eagles game. They was ready to throw hands. So Jalen was 15-26. He was less accurate. He was throwing it, but he was less productive, I'll say, than normal for 183 yards. Barkley had 22 carries, which I think is a sweet spot. I think 17-25 is roughly how much I would run him just to keep the defense honest. I wouldn't give them under 17 because if you start doing that, then they just hone in, they're just going to throw it. So you got to keep them honest. But 22 for 60, 2.7 yards a carry. Tank Bigsby had 3 carries for 7. Devontae had 4 for 69. Goddard, 4 for 30. Saquon had 3 catches for 40. Will Shipley had 2 catches for 17. AJ had 2 for 13. And you had Dotson and Calcaterra that were in there. They got targets, but they didn't make anything of it. And this is where I was saying there were some now I wouldn't say performance issues, but some, whatever the word is that I use, where it was on Hurts. Like there was an overthrow with Smitty where it was above his head instead of in his breadbasket because the defender was behind him. So if he had put it in front of him, that was a catch. And again, I'm not beating up on Hurts. Every QB has these things where the game isn't 100% perfect, right? I know that you guys are licking Sam Darnold's nutsack and because he's running the table on these 0-7 teams and he's making completion after completion after completion. But you look at them and these guys are wide the freak open. They're not contested catches. I mentioned that on another video. Smitty and Goddard, for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, are making contested catches where Hurts is putting it in a place where only they can get it. And they hold on to the ball like that bomb touchdown that was like the dagger in the Super Bowl. Let's look at the Packers real quick. Jordan Love was 20 for 36, so 5 more completions. And I'm going to tell you something. You can say I'm crazy or not, but that pass interference that we got called on, which I agree with, he was all over him. He was laying on him. He wouldn't have caught the ball anyway, but as a defender, do you really know that? Do you really know that he's not going to catch it if it's yay above his fingers? So he's trying to make a play. It was pass interference. But without that pass interference, I don't think they had these 7 points. I believe we shut them out. Honest to God. Because that gave them like 30 or 40 yards or whatever it was, and then they were right there, and they just walked it in. I mean, it's really not worth going over their stats. They scored 7. It's outrageous what Patullo was doing to our team. And if he thinks he's putting those Eagles on the field against the Lions, we're going to get embarrassed at home. We will. So he better have his act together for next week. Or I should say this week because it's a short week. It's going to be a Sunday game. At least it's at night and not during the day, so you get a couple more hours. But my God in heaven. Oh, my goodness. And like I said, those Packers fans were in the Eagles spots like, okay, why? And they do this every week, right? The opposing team has like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 people that come to the Eagles spot. And it's like, okay, find your bar and go to it and enjoy the game with your fans. You want to come to our bar and talk trash. Now, I kind of get it, okay? I'm thinking about it, and as I'm speaking it. Okay, if you win, you get to dunk it on everybody's head that you won and you're here and everybody's looking sad. But it's a dangerous game with Philly fans. I don't know if I would suggest that. I showed y'all that one video with the Rams fan. He was actually cool, though. He was actually cool. He didn't talk that much trash. He was rooting for his team, which he should do. But he didn't talk that much trash. But these Packers fans and Ravens fans, I'm like, yo, you're 4-5. And he's like, so what? Lamar is good for it, and he's gonna be in the playoffs, and he's gonna be in the Super Bowl. I'm like, what of his history gives you the thought that he is going to be in the Super Bowl this year? And of your record. He was like, oh, don't worry about it. We're gonna win out. They're saying you're gonna win out. Have you seen who the Ravens are playing? I'm not sure if you've seen who the Ravens are playing, that you think that they're about to win out. And who's doing that? I think any team is winning out. Not even these 8-2 Patriots and everything. And strength of schedule always used to matter. It always used to matter. Marquee wins are what used to build up your representation. Built up your rep, right? You beat 0-7 team, and it's like, okay, you got the win. You should get the win because they're a bad team, but you're not really high on your horse for that. You look at some of these teams and who they've beaten. Let's look at the Seahawks real quick, who everybody is on. The Seahawks have beaten the Steelers, which I think is a good win. But they beat the Saints, which I don't think is a good win. They beat the Cardinals, which I don't think is a good win. They beat the Jaguars, which I don't think is a good win. They beat the Texans, which I don't think is a good win. They beat the Commanders, which I don't think is a good win. And they beat the Cardinals again. I don't think these are good wins. I think that win against the, who did I say? I'm scrolling back up here. The Steelers was a good win. Steelers aren't pushovers this year. Let's look at the Patriots. Now, I am not saying that these teams are hot garbage. I want to make that clear. I'm not saying the Patriots or the Seahawks or any of these teams are bad. What I'm saying is the strength of the schedule should matter when you count the wins. Let's forget them real quick. Let's look at the Eagles' wins. Okay? Let's look at the Eagles' victories. And the win-loss ratio of the teams, right? So you look, the Cowboys. At first, everybody thought, including myself, I thought they were going to be a 10-win, 12-win team because Dak is a regular season quarterback. But we won that. I'm not counting that. We beat the Chiefs. I don't give a rip if it was out their two receivers. We beat them. Okay? The Bills beat them with their two receivers, and they just lost to the Falcons and the Dolphins. So I don't want to hear it. We beat the Rams. The Rams might be better, but we're also better as we progress, especially our defense is tighter. We beat the Bucks. Everybody was going off on Baker Mayfield and about how great he is. We beat them. We beat the Vikings, who everybody has said they have the best deep ball defense, and Jalen was throwing it all over them. To that point, they had the number one deep ball defense. Jalen threw it all over them. And then we just beat the Packers. So that is, I should have kept up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the Packers. 5 strong teams with winning records that we beat. And you look at other teams, and they're beating people with 1 win or 2 wins on the season. The Cardinals, I think, got 2 wins on the season. And you beat them twice. Come on. I hate how the narrative is always twisted to make Jalen and the Eagles look bad and to come up with all these type of weird situations that say the Eagles aren't who we know they are when they're beating these top teams or supposed to be top teams. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But we got the Lions next. Okay? And again, if we don't do right, if we don't clean up stuff, if Patullo doesn't get his head out his rear end and put together a Giants-type game or a Vikings-type game, we'll get mollywopped. We got the Lions. We got the Cowboys. Is this weird? We might split with them. Even though they stink, we might split with them. That happens. We got the Bears, who are not slouches. We got the Chargers, who are not slouches. All these are more winning teams. We got the Raiders, which should be a layup, but you can't count them out. We got the Commanders, which should be a layup, but you can't count them out. We got the Bills, who should be a tough team with Josh. It depends on which Josh you get. Turnover Josh or superstar Josh. Which one's going to show up that time? And then the Commanders again. Our offensive coordinator should not be mishandling our team this way. You don't get to show up against the Giants, who are 2-7, and then turn around against the Packers and do this, where you're not throwing it or designing good plays for throws. We're not having schemes for what the Packers have put on film. And you know what the Lions are doing. They're going to try to run all over you with Sonic and Knuckles. And then if you get a hold of them, Goff is going to try to pitch it. Our defense is a shining light on the squad. So I'm not super worried about them running up the score, but we need to score. Gosh darn it. I don't like this feeling. I love my team. And I'm actually have this feeling, like I've said in many, many videos, is because I know we can do better and we are being held back by tomfoolery. Straight nonsense. Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds.